It is the Cam Show, Trogue Media Sports Network. It's Tuesday. The Bruins play again tonight. We do have the NBA Cup tonight. Boy, does that get me fired up. Celtics are playing Atlanta with that new court. How do you feel, Scott? How do you feel about these NBA Cup courts? The second year of it.
I'll be honest with you, Cam. I've not been paying attention to this. Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
So it was the in-season tournament last year.
I remember
it's now
that.
called the NBA Cup.
Okay.
And each team has not only their whatever city edition jerseys for it, but they redesigned the courts, like the physical court. And
just graphics wise or
the whole thing.
Okay.
Whole thing. So the Celtics will play on a green court tonight with the big NBA Cup trophy in the middle. And this year at least they made some faux parquet, which I appreciate. But this is I do get some I get old man yelling at cloud a little bit on some things, and I'm not going to lose sleep at the end of the day. But it's just why do we need that?
Nope.
Well,
I remember when they announced this tournament.
Why do the Celtics need to be playing on a green
court?
Court?
Nobody cares about the NBA Cup to begin with.
No.
And A. And B, I don't know. I guess I could see the value in trying that to potentially, if you want to change the way courts look 10 years from now, you can get weird with it now.
It's just, I don't know.
It sounds like it's going to hurt my eyes.
Well, the thing is, with the whole NBA Cup deal, so I'm a big soccer fan. You're a big soccer fan. But you stick mostly MLS, right?
Primarily, yeah.
Yeah.
And international, Team USA.
Gotcha.
All about it.
Gotcha. I stick in Europe for the most part. Really, these days, the Premier League, not much else. Premier League, Champions League, obviously. And the idea of this NBA Cup was supposed to be like the FA Cup in the Premier League, or the League Cup as well, they do in England, which is these mid-season tournaments that are going on, you're playing a Premier League game at the weekend, the top flight, and you're playing a FA Cup match on assorted Tuesdays or Wednesdays.
Well, and the MLS does this too.
They have the Davis Cup?
No,
that's tennis or something.
Dude, I'm the worst. I'm forgetting what it's called right now, but they do one with Liga Meki where it's 8 teams from MLS and 8 teams from Mexico.
Oh,
that play
okay.
for a cup every year.
So you get the idea of it.
Yeah.
And
I think it's just, and then I think there's one that's just called MLS Cup. That's mid-season.
MLS Cup. That was good.
Very creative.
Good. Yeah. I mean, the NBA went with in-season tournament last year. But it's just it. And what's funny about it too is you can't fabricate the history of something like the FA Cup. The FA Cup has been around since the 1870s or 80s. So first off, right there, you can't replicate that. That's 140 years they've been playing this thing. And it for a long time was bigger than even winning the league. And so there's nothing you can do about that, right? Nothing the NBA can do about that. And the part that is funny to me is the fact that the FA Cup and the League Cup in England are losing luster by the year because people are so invested in who's winning the Premier League and who's winning the Champions League.
Right.
And the NBA is you know what? We should do something like that. It's the popularity is as low as it's ever been.
Well, and
let's do that.
Isn't the reward just cash
for the NBA? Yeah. Yes.
So I feel like
you're playing an extra game or two.
I feel like if it, you could add stakes to that, whether it's, man, you want to secure a playoff spot in December.
I think that would be kind of a cool thing.
I think that would draw more views than we named it this, we changed the court, and we'll give the winners cash.
I think what could be great for it is something like home court advantage in the first round.
Right.
So where the Lakers
implications
last year,
on the real
playoff. The Lakers last year were not a home court team.
Right.
And they could have been because they won that tournament. Or the other one, which I am in on, is
better draft lottery?
A draft pick.
I think that's a good move.
A top 6 or 8 draft pick. Because I have long been on the trail of we're not handling the draft lottery the right way. I think the teams that finish the worst, like the 2 worst records, should be picking like 7th and 8th. So where you're still getting a top 10 pick, but we're not rewarding tanking. And every once in a while, there's going to be the team that's not even trying to tank. They're just that bad, but so be it. There's too many teams trying to tank in this league. And so you take the ones who are, I mean, I guess you have to take the play-in stuff out of it, but 15 in each conference. So you take the teams that are like 12th and 13th in each conference, and they're duking it out for the top 4 picks. 5th goes to the NBA Cup winner, and 6th and 7th goes to the 2 worst teams. Something like that. Obviously, it would change year to year because sometimes the NBA
Commissioner
Cup winner might be. Look, I just don't want to reward tanking as much as we do.
Yeah,
and it's actually getting just as bad in the NFL. If you look at the draft order,
Cowboys fan here, hoping we tank.
Like, okay, do you know the draft orders? The Cowboys have 3 wins.
I think the Cowboys are still like
they're picking like 8th
or 9th. Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. There's 10 teams with 2 or 3 wins.
Yeah,
and
the bottom of the NFL is bad this season,
and that's not a coincidence because
right.
we've been seeing it in the NBA the last 10 years.
Yeah,
because half the league is not trying to win. And that does water down the product. Someone was bitching about the NFL the other day. I don't know who it was. It was just someone on Twitter who has some sort of gambling presence. And was like, man, I watched the early slate up till Sunday Night Football, and there was just nothing. There was no good games. And even that 4:00 East Coast with Cowboys, Eagles, and Jets, Cardinals, they were 2 just complete blowouts. And like that's happening every week. The NFL, for some time slots, is not the appointment watching, listening that it used to be. It used to be absolute appointment television from 1:00 Central Time, 1:00 Eastern Time through 11:00 Eastern Time. And it's just not that anymore. Of course, there are still good games here and there. And they're like, I'm guessing Buffalo, Kansas City will still draw an astronomical number on Sunday and hopefully be a pretty damn good game. But it's not just the Thursday night games that are disappointing me anymore. The early slate on Sundays, those games stink because half the teams are trying to tank. It's just like the NBA in that everyone talks about, the NBA isn't good till the playoffs. That's because half the teams in the league are trying to not get there. And, is it smart? I guess, because for some of these teams, it really works. They punt the season and they get a top 5, top 10 pick, and then they're competing again in a couple years. That's the case with some of these. But some of these, they're in this perpetual cycle. The Washington Wizards, a perpetual cycle of suck and not trying. The Charlotte Hornets, they're not trying to win games. We talked about it with Pete last week. The Sixers, for years, they just weren't trying to win. So can something like the NBA Cup be effing useful and help a team out or help the integrity of the game a little bit? And maybe you do get the Wizards and the Hornets playing in an NBA Cup final. But when something's on the line like that, hey, one of these guys is going to be picking in the top 5. The other might be relegated to 7th or 8th, which could be a big time difference for their rebuild. That's something to watch. Or you take a better scenario of a team like the Hornets playing against a team like, I don't know, the Lakers or the Heat, who are big-time brands, not championship contenders, and they can get a top 5 pick. And here's this team that's always trying to lose, suddenly trying to win, playing against them so that they can solidify a top 5 pick. I'm here for that. I'm really here for that. Or maybe it's a team like the Magic, who are up and coming, who are going to be a playoff team again this year, potentially a home court playoff team that have a lot of good young pieces. And they're like, we could really, really accelerate our rebuild if we win this phony little NBA Cup in Vegas. If we go out and we beat a team like the Celtics or the Nuggets or the Knicks or the Cavs, we're like, hey, we're knocking out a real championship contender, knowing that we can win these games when it matters. to accelerate our rebuild. And then on the other side, if it is a team like the Celtics that's playing them, they're like, oh my God, we're a championship team. And if we win this phony little tournament, we'll get a top 5 pick in the draft. Let's make it interesting. Forget the cash. These guys have enough cash. And I know there are two-way guys, two-way contract guys on all these teams that could use a little bit of the cash. I know. But how about we make this really incentivized? And there is some of that with the FA Cup. There are teams that wouldn't normally qualify for European competition, but if they win the FA Cup, they're in. Couple that with the still mystique that is there, and you've got a competition worth playing that everyone wants to play. The other thing with the FA Cup is that you can play teams from lower divisions, which gives them this great chance. A few years ago, Tottenham Hotspur played Marine, which was a semi-professional team, and by luck of the draw of the FA Cup, they played each other, and they played at Marine's home ground. It would be like if the LA Lakers were playing Baylor and they had to go down to Waco, Texas and play it. I don't think that's ever going to happen, but it would be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool if they did. And there are simple solutions to making this NBA Cup just more entertaining for the fans and more incentivized for the players. Because what it is right now, like Scotty said, it's just nothing. It's just, oh, we won the NBA Cup. The Lakers raised a banner. It's like, catch me dead before a proud franchise like the Celtics raises a banner for winning something that was called the in-season tournament and the prestige that surrounds that. Like, if the Celtics won it, cool. That's great. But like, nobody is going to win this tournament and then win the NBA championship and be like, they won the double, first team ever to win the double. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody's going to look back after losing, disappointingly losing in the conference finals and being like, yeah, but we won the NBA Cup. And that's something to rally behind. That's something to add to Donovan Mitchell's Hall of Fame resume. No, nobody cares. But if you do incentivize it a little bit, and maybe it is a case of like Cleveland could not get over the hump with the Celtics until they won the NBA Cup, was able to draft, this great European superstar that was a little too raw to take it number one. And that's sparked a dynasty. Then that becomes, people start giving a shit then. This was supposed to be a Bruins segment, but I nixed it. This is more important to me. I already fixed the Major League Baseball schedule. And now I'm going to fix the tournament formerly known as the in-season tournament. This is how you do it. And I don't know, maybe throw some wacky rules in there. I know they kind of did it with like the point differential thing last year, and the Celtics needed to hack a Shaq and run up the score a little bit. But I don't know. Let's get some wacky shit in there. Let's get a 4-point line. If that's where you want to do it in there. I don't know. Let's do, Joe Mazzulla wanted the power play thing. 20 seconds where a team has to play 4-on-5. Let's do that. If you're going to test something out, let's do it in the NBA Cup, and let's really incentivize this thing. Cam Stewart fixes the NBA Cup.
We are Rogue Media Sports.